Fitzgerald and Art Laffer joining us on this extraordinary morning. First of all, to you, Art, this is a personal thing. This is an outrage performed on the country. Why is the stock market on the upside?
Well, what happened in Las Vegas and the impact it's had on our country is a matter of the heart and soul of our nation. It's not a matter of the pocketbook, Stuart, and the pocketbook probably isn't affected very much by this event, even though everything else is devastatingly impacted.
Keith, you come into this too, please, because I'm not sure what I was expecting on the market this morning, but I was not expecting this outrage from last night. And I'm a little surprised that we should be going higher in the very early going as this news breaks upon us.
Well, you know, that's a logical reaction. It's an emotional reaction, Stuart. I feel it too. And I'm looking around, and I've got to look at 35 years of experience. Number one, we still have good data from around the world and here in the country, economically speaking. And two, what it points to is the success of capitalism as a global market. So you've got lots of traders from around the world whose hearts and whose wallets are involved in this. They're what's sustaining this right now based on extraneous numbers.
The world of money has nothing to do with the world of morality or outrage or this kind of mass shooting. The two are completely separate, are they not? I'll go back to you, Art.
Well, I don't know if they're completely separate, Stuart, but they are separate in the sense of response. I mean, when you look at an event like this and you ask yourself, how does it affect the economy, profits, all of that, you don't come up with a definitive answer. What you do is you feel this, from my standpoint, inordinate sadness and depression that comes from the body fabric of this country is really ripped apart in all sorts of ways that don't affect the economy, but really affect us in many, many other aspects.
All right, Keith, back to you for a second here. We had developments on North Korea over the weekend, the shooting last night in Las Vegas. Is there anything which will stop this rally in its tracks?
Yes, there is. And unfortunately, President Trump appears to be sticking his foot towards that tripwire. He is disagreeing openly with Tillerson. And, you know, if you've got dissension, the one thing traders have kept up alive is the hope and the trust that our politicians would find a way around this mess in North Korea. If you've got a bifurcated White House with its own senior staff bickering and fighting, as is apparently the case, that's going to cause traders to pause. The other thing that would do it would be the release of some sort of, as awful as this is to think about, a bioweapon or a pandemic.
Art, I want to talk to you about the role of social media here. As soon as the shooting occurred, news organizations were getting these videos taken at the scene. It was almost live time reporting. I'm not suggesting that the stock price of a Facebook or a Twitter would be affected, but it's a cultural phenomenon, isn't it? Here
it sure is.
I mean, a mass shooting almost covered live. Go.
It's amazing. It is a social phenomenon, and the information spread is instantaneous now. I mean, virtually instantaneous in all aspects, videos, everything. It's quite astounding, the technology that's developed over the last 100 years.
Lizzie?
And it becomes a concern for law enforcement. Las Vegas Metro Police at 2:41 a.m. tweeted out this. Please do not live stream or share tactical positions of our officers on the scene. This
Bingo.
may put emergency responders in danger.
Yes, we can all view these things as they happen, and that's an extraordinary thing.
That happened in Europe too, on many of the shootings there in Paris. The police in Paris were saying, don't live stream. You're putting our officers in jeopardy.
But we see, Art, come back in again, please. We seem to get over it so quickly. Because we can see it in real live time, and we'll have the full story within 24 hours, we seem to just move on after that, as if it's no longer part of the news cycle. We've got a shock to the system, and we recover very quickly.
It's amazing. People's emotions are, they're limited, Stuart, and you can only be in despair for a short period of time, even though it's a long-term lasting impact on your body. It's still, the reaction time is short-lived. I mean, people just can't have adrenaline hits for that long.
Okay, I want to go and look at some individual stocks and also the overall market. On the left-hand side of your screen, the Dow, the S&P, the Nasdaq, all of them at all-time record highs. That's happening this morning, this Monday morning. Can I show you, I'd like to show you the gun stocks as well. It may seem a little crass, But at this point in time, the left will be, a lot of people, it's not just the left, a lot of people will be calling for some kind of gun control. The result, gun stocks are going up this morning. The left coming out blaming a lack of gun control this morning for this shooting. What have we got on that?
Senator Richard Blumenthal said this: "It has been barely a year since what was previously the last mass shooting at the Pulse nightclub. In the interim, thousands more have been lost to the daily ruthless toll of gun violence. Still, Congress refuses to act. I'm more than frustrated. I am furious." And the Pulse shooting happened 14 months ago in Orlando. 49 killed, 58 wounded. The Las Vegas shooting is now the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. And also, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut said the last night's massacre may go down as the deadliest in the nation, but already this year there have been more mass shootings than days in a year.
It is inevitable that the call for gun control will surface on an occasion like this.
Absolutely.
Right, I mean, there's no way around it.
There's no way around it, and it will happen every time. I think the problem is with gun control, the horse is already bolted. There are over 300 million guns out there. The people who want to use them for terrible things are going to be able to do that.
But it's become easy to shoot people at church or at places of worship, in movie theaters, at schools, and you have to decide, who do we want to be as a country, as a nation? And doing nothing is also a decision as well, right? So what do you do?
Keith, forgive me for asking a personal question like this, but would you buy a gun stock?
You know, I would not buy a gun stock today. I have owned them in the past. They are clearly, unfortunately, part of a growth industry that I call war, terrorism, and ugliness. But I have to look at this as a short-term event, just as I would look at any other event, very clinically, very coldly. Emotionally, absolutely against it.
Art Laffer, would you buy a gun stock?
You know, I think it's a financial decision to make, whether you buy a gun stock or a cigarette company, or whether you buy any other stock in the whole situation, and that's a financial decision. I mean, what Blumenthal said is completely correct. It is, it's furious. I mean, how can you not be? The question is, what's the answer? And I don't see the answer as being obvious as he does.
Okay.
Answers are much more complex, much more difficult, and I think this type of pandering in a public arena is just really unbecoming.
May I also show our viewers casino stocks? Now, the Mandalay Bay Hotel was part of the MGM group, and the casino stocks this morning are down. MGM in particular is down 2.7%. Again, I don't want to get into a shooting and then let's look at the casino stocks and the gun stocks. I'm afraid we have to do that because they are reacting to what we saw last night. All right, the Dow Industrials right now up 27 points, 22,434, despite what happened last night in Las Vegas. Can you show me, please, the big-name technology stocks? I know a lot of our viewers tune in. Where are they? Because that's where all the money has been flowing for the past 18 months, I'd say. They had a bit of a pause recently. All of them, except for Apple, back on the upside this morning. I've got Facebook at 171, Amazon at 966, Microsoft at 74, nearly 75, Alphabet 975, only Apple fractionally lower.
I think it's interesting, just one last thought on the markets, is that we've seen rotations. For a while there, big tech wore out and people were taking their profits, but there's always another sector where money is pouring in, and I think that's why you see them melt up, whether it's defense sector, whether it's the big tech money coming back to big tech. Whatever, if money comes out of one area, it's always going back into another, and that's why we've continued to see this market move higher.
Well said. The Dow Industrial is now up about 30 points, and with that, this Monday morning, I have to thank you, Keith and Art. A very difficult day for market coverage, but nonetheless, you're here, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, next case. What have we got?